Hi everybody, I'm Mr. Picanso, or Mr. P. I'm the Director of Bands over at Millikan High School, and this video is designed to orient you through joining the Millikan Marching Arts program. If you're watching this video, you're probably going to be joining the Marching Band or the Color Guard in the fall, and you've got a lot of questions about how this works and what you're going to do. In past times, we would have a meeting where we all got together and talked through everything that happens here. The meeting would be very long. There'd be a lot of questions to it. So in respect of all of our times and the changing times we have here, we've decided to put together a video that's designed to answer all of your questions that you may or may not have going into this new endeavor, and hopefully get you set up ready to go into the new year. So take a look at the video all the way through. I know it's going to be a bit of a sizable video, but it's got a lot of really important information in it, and it's going to set you up for success starting in August when we get going with our band camp, or a little bit earlier if you're a percussionist or a color guard member. So make it all the way to the very end, and if you have any questions at the end of the video, you're going to see my contact information below and on the video itself, and you can contact us directly and we'll answer whatever questions you have. Again, welcome. We're happy to have you, and let's get started. So as I said before, this video is meant to guide you through joining the marching arts program here at Millikan High School. This is done through a slideshow that I've put into this video. The slideshow is going to be available at the end of the video. It's available now underneath the video. You'll be able to click to that, go through this at your own pace. The hyperlinks that you'll see in this video will be available there as well. So you can go through this at your own pace, your own time, and make sure that you're caught up and know everything that you need to before you get in and not have to actually watch through this video all the way from the beginning again. So without anything else, let's keep moving on. So welcome to the Millikan Music family and the adventure that the marching arts is. In lieu of a meeting this year, we've chosen to make this video. There are a few things that came up here on our side that made it so that we couldn't host a meeting. But at the same time, this meeting that we've held in the past can sometimes go up to 2 hours. So in respect of everyone's time, we've decided to make this a video, make it much more concise, easy for everybody to access, and hopefully answer all those questions that we've been getting over all these years. So at the end, if you have any questions about what you saw, still have some things rolling around in your head, shoot one of us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can and hopefully get that cleared up for you. So what are the marching arts? Marching band is not necessarily what we always thought it was, or what you see in the movies depicted so often, not in the modern era, at least. This is an activity of music, dance, sports, and competition all rolled into one. We compete throughout the course of the year. Our main goal is putting together a competitive field show that we take to different shows, compete against other schools, get scores, and vie for the championship at the end of the season in November. So aside from all that, this is definitely an experience your student will not be able to stop talking about when they get home from practice. This is, the students that we have, this kind of encompasses their daily life here around Millikan High School. I have students that I see all day long, even when they're supposed to be in another class, they come on over, stop by. This is kind of their home base. So when they become part of the marching arts program, even if they don't think they will be one of those students now, they most likely will by the end of this season. So again, not just parades, not just football games, but these competitions. We do both. We really only do one parade. I'm not a huge fan of those, but we have the home football games that we do as well. So yeah. Now next, I actually want to break up the video from the slideshow and give you a video to show you what this is. What it really is to be part of the marching arts program. So this is just going to be a snippet of another show that's going to be inserted right here. And I'll talk a little bit about that after the fact. So summer communication. Communication is key in this program. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of new students. There's a lot of people who have not met me face to face that are going to be coming into this program. So we need to make sure that we're all communicating. We have all the information that we need going into this year and going into this normal sense of year, kind of getting past all these past COVID restrictions that made this last year much more difficult for our communication. So there's several different outlets that we use to communicate in this program. Of course, email, which is not listed here, which is how a lot of you got a notification about this video itself. But there are several applications that we use, and I'll walk you through those right now. Number one is the Remind app. That is my most used app that I use in this program, as well as Ms. Lucampos, who is our co-director. Remind is how I can send you information about what's going on, up-to-date time-stamped things, even files and notifications about new things that are coming up in the program. Remind is an app. It allows me to send messages directly to your phone without actually exchanging phone numbers, and vice versa should you have the app. So in a little bit, we'll talk about how to get set up into the Remind app and how we'll use that. The next thing is called Band app, which is, it's interesting this name came up with this. The Band app is actually a form of social media that was created for school purposes. It wasn't directly created for bands that I know of. It's used by lots of different types of programs, but it is sort of the safe social media thing that we use when the season comes around. That's led by our staff members. And in this space, they may sometimes post assignments, mostly geared towards watching certain videos that they wanted you to see, or to listen to certain things they might want you to hear, or just have camaraderie within the program. The Band app we'll talk more about when we get to band camp. It's not my forte. I let my staff members kind of show how this works and how to sign up for it. And they'll kind of give the rundown of how this specifically works. So again, this is a safe social media zone. It's one that's only our members can see. It's not something that's out in the atmosphere like everything else. So I guess it's not quite the standard social media app that you can think of today. It's more confined to just the people inside of our program, not even those outside or in other parts of the school. So next is Slack. Some of you may be familiar with Slack. It's becoming kind of a workplace staple, but Slack is another messaging app that's available out there. This is primarily used by our percussion program with our percussion coaches and used with our leadership crew. Which if you're coming in, if you're a percussion student or percussion family, there's a Slack channel available for you. That's how you get communication directly through our staff members and amongst each other. It's really easy to use. And again, later on, we'll show you how to get set up in that, if you should be set up in the Slack rooms. And then lastly, Google Classroom. The Google Classroom is set up now. Now, some of us who did auditions, you probably know about the nightmare that was Google Classroom a few months ago. We think we got most things resolved. There's a little bit of a step-by-step in the slides later on, but we use a Google Classroom throughout the course of the marching band camp before we have access for Canvas to post all of our assignments, music, drill, and everything and anything that we have needed during the summer time here in the marching program. So Google Classroom is a requirement for everyone in the program to be a part of. Let's keep going on. So let's talk Remind. Like I said before, Remind is a way to send messages directly to students and families without exchanging phone numbers. It can be used either through the app, or if you don't have the room on your phone or the type of phone that uses apps, it can be sent through just text messages. The instructions on how to add are coming up next on the screen. So these instructions will also be available on the website very clearly there. There's 3 Remind classes to be aware of. You're not going to need to sign up for all of them. Wait through this video until you get to the last Remind code to know which one are the ones that you need to get to. So the first one is the Millikan Marching Band and Guard. This is for all students and students only. If you don't want to be receiving information at work about things that are happening during the school day, like rally call times, or where to be at certain points in the show, or where to, on a show day, or where to be in the school when we have a football game coming on, then make sure you do not sign up for this one, but your students do. So this is the student, the one designed for students that I will communicate directly with the students. Now, I talked about the 2 ways. There's the app, which is the easiest way to use, and it gives you the most features to be able to use. So if you download the app, it's called the Remind. It looks like this little blue R right here that you see on the top of the screen right here. If you get that and you just add the class code that you see down here at Millikan, MA, you will find the class and you'll get logged into it. You can also search through the Millikan High School and find the name Millikan Marching Band and Guard, and you will find the Remind code as well. So that's the easiest way to find that. You can see the screen here, walks you through it. You can also go to this web address that's right there on your phone, and it'll pull up both the app and the sign up for it. Now, in the B section is if you don't have the app or you're not going to have not going to be able to get the app, you can set this up for text messages. So what you do is you text to the number 81010 the message that says @ Millikan MA, and that will set you up into to receive text messages from the Remind app. You can't respond back to me. You can't send messages to me that way. And I'm not quite sure if you're able to get PDFs or pictures that I send out to the group, but you will get the messages if you set up through the text messages that way. Again, I highly recommend the app, but there is a way around that if you don't have those abilities. So again, this is the one for all students in both the band, percussion, and the color guard. For family members of both the, family members and members of the color guard, this is your sign-up sheet right here. So this it's the same process. There's the app, or there's the setup for the text messages, still to the same number. The only difference is the message has changed. Now your message will say @Millikan CG. There again, it's at the bottom of the screen. You can see right here, it says @Millikan CG. You sign up for that. You'll get all the messages that come directly from our color guard or geared directly towards the color guard, which do tend to have messages that are different from the rest of the ensemble. So that's the one for you. And then lastly, for parents and only for parents. Students, you do not sign up for this one. This one is directly geared towards parents and the responsibilities that parents may have and information that parents may want. Again, the same process, either the app, which I highly recommend, or sending up through the messages. This one is a little bit more convoluted of a message, but it's there right there on the screen at the bottom. Your message to send is @MHS MB CG PA. Throw that into the messages or search for that in the class code, and you will find the one that's geared directly towards you. There's many times that I send messages to all three. That's intended for all three to be aware of. But there are times when it's individualized, and this is why we have these three different classrooms set up. So we make sure this is streamlined and you receive only the information you need to receive, and you don't get bombed with messages you don't need to be bothered with. So again, these are the three here. You'll be able to see this below, and then you're also going to see this in the slideshow that you have access to. So if I went too fast for you, or if you didn't catch all that in the video, you don't even need to rewind right now. You can just look at it down below, or you can come back to it later and make sure that you add yourself to that. So those are for the Remind codes. So let's keep going on. All right, continuing on. Slack. Slack is only for percussion students as of right now. And later on, there'll be one set up for our leadership team, but they are most likely not watching this video because this is not for them. This is for all the new people. So Slack is an app. It's also a desktop application. You can go to it on its website and use it streaming that way. But what you do is you download the Slack app, and then you're going to want to go to the slideshow or the link below this video to get access to the link that you see hyperlinked right here on the screen. This will be the easiest way to join Slack. If you go on your phone, it'll move from the web browser over to the app and set you up into the class. Or if you don't go that way, you can do it on your computer. It'll send you over to Slack. You'll have to put in your login credentials for your profile into Slack, and it'll set you up into that one as well. So this link is what gets you access to our percussion Slack channel. So this will stay here and it'll stay active. The only caveat about this, as I make this video, this is the morning of June 9th. This link right here is only active for 30 days from this day. So if you try to get to this anywhere past, was it July 8th, you're going to have to contact directly to either a member of the percussion section or the staff to get a new Slack code. This one here is only active for 30 days. So don't wait on this, get this done now so that you get your communication over the summer. So that's it for Slack. And now website and Google Classroom, we're going to talk about these a little bit of both at the same time. So we have our website, which you are on right now. So this shouldn't be too difficult of a thing to find. But on the website is going to be all of our calendar info, information about all of our different ensembles, information about our show this year, and much more that's going to be available on that website or is currently available. Again, that is millikenmusic.com. We paid for the website, so it's nice and easy for you guys to find. So hopefully that works out for you nice and clearly. There's a Google Calendar that you'll see there at the front page. You can sync that Google Calendar to your own personal Google Calendar. It is currently up to date with everything that we know of that's going to be happening at least through the month of December. And you can set up either updates or not, but it'll keep things up to date for you. There's also going to be a physical calendar, well, I guess a virtual physical, a PDF calendar of things that are happening, but those take longer to update. The Google Calendar we're able to update on the fly. So make sure that you're set up and synced with that Google Calendar, because as changes come up, and they inevitably will, especially with some of our shows that don't have definite locations or even time frame sets up yet, you're going to want to get the most update information, and through the Google Calendar is the way that you're going to get that. So make sure that you set yourself up for that Google Calendar. There'll be instructions on the website as to how you do that. How to Google Classroom specifically. This was a problem in the past. We hopefully got this figured out. The main thing to make sure that Google Classroom works for you is you need to be set up with your school Google account. This is the account that's set up with your school ID that you've been given. Yes, you have a school Google account if you did not know. What you would do is, however you would log in to either Canvas or whatever else you had before for your email. To see your email, that same login information is going to work into Google, and you're going to get to the Google account that's synced with your school ID. That's how you're able to gain access to our Google Classrooms. If you are not set up in there, you will not be able to join. Furthermore, if you go and try to join and you think you've signed into your account, you probably have been booted out. Google does this interesting thing that they think is convenient, that every time you close the browser or move to a different page, sometimes it'll set you back to your default Google account and you won't even know. I've had this problem so many times. Students have logged in, then did a few other things, and then went to Google Classroom, and then all of a sudden they don't even know that they've been logged into their personal Google account, and they can't get set up with the Google stuff that we're doing. So make sure that you are set up with your school Google info to be able to gain access to the Google Classroom. Now, there's two ways to join the classroom. You'll see the hyperlink right here on the slide. You can click on that with the slide that's available below, or you can go to Google Classroom, search for a class code, and just add this class code right here. This is the class code for our marching band Google Classroom. You can type that in and then that'll sync you in. As of right now, there's no assignments in there as of June 9th, that is, but that's where we're going to start posting show music and summer assignments, and all of the assignments are going to happen through the marching band season. Through the band camp part of the marching band season. When September rolls around and we get access to Canvas again, we're going to start migrating back over to Canvas. But for summertime, we have Google. So there we go. Hopefully this is all nice and clear. Again, if you have issues with it, you can try and contact us and we'll see if we can walk through and see what's going on. Additionally, private school students may have to wait until they have access to their school information. If you do not know what your school ID, make sure to call Millikan High School or to call the district to find out which your information is going to be. All right, continuing on to summer school credit. Now we got some bad news going into this year. In the last few years, we were able to get PE credit for summer school marching band, allowing students to have 2 consecutive semesters of PE in the summer and the fall, and then springtime they did not have to take a PE class again. So they were able to stick with us in any of the 3 different things we had going on during the spring semester. Unfortunately, they've taken that away. So now summer school is only offered as an enrichment course. It's no longer offered as a PE course. It's also been given some confusion about how to register for the summer school course. Here's how things lay out. You don't need to do anything right now to sign up for summer school. You need to show up for band camp, and that's it. At the end of band camp, we will know who has been through the whole set of band camp, and we will submit those names to the school, and you will then receive your enrichment credit for being part of the summer school marching band stuff that we had going on. It will not give you PE credit, but it will give you a boost to your units, and it'll be something that you can use later on towards college applications, I believe, to show that the extra things that you did for the school. So that's where our summer school things line up. It's really unfortunate news with the PE credit thing that we have going on, but the nice thing is we don't have to, nobody here has to do anything above and beyond to get registered for summer school. You just show up to marching band camp and we take care of the rest. All right, talking about the show music and the exercises. So after this slideshow, I'm going to play for you the trailer that we have for our show. Our show this next year is going to be titled What If? And it's actually a show called about time travel, not about the Marvel TV show. Though it features a lot of music from recent Marvel TV shows, or music inspired by, I should say. We're not using the direct music. So the teaser trailer is going to be posted below. And when the season comes around in band camp, I will have a big walkthrough and show everybody what the storyboard is for the show so that we know then all the things that go on into what the show is going to be about. But the teaser trailer is going to give you a good idea about that as well. Music is going to be posted to the Google Classroom as it becomes available over the summer. The music is custom written for us. No one else has ever done this before. So it's all custom for us. You'll find music as it posts throughout the course of the summer. Many of you have not had parts assigned to you yet. For example, like a first trumpet, second trumpet, third trumpet, that sort of thing. That will happen the first day or two of band camp, and the music for part auditions will be posted on the website, on the Google Classroom as well. Our exercise book is going to be posted on the Google Classroom. That's all the things we use for warm-ups and different things that we play throughout the course of the year to work on technique and just become better players and a better ensemble. You're going to receive remind texts and emails about this when this all starts becoming available. So when you see those come through on your phone, you know to go and check Google and see what's been posted. And from here, I'm just going to pause and let the trailer play. So enjoy the trailer. All right, I hope that I got everybody's excitement up. Let's keep going on with this so we make sure we have all the information that we need. Next up are instrument checkouts. Now, this is if you need an instrument checked out to you that's going to be used for the marching band. If you need an instrument, here's what you need to do. You need to fill out the Google form that's here no later than June 18th. Again, you'll find that link below in the slideshow. Then you're going to come to the band room on the date that's emailed out. We're not giving a date for instrument pickups yet because we want to find out who needs to get instruments and what our time frames are available. And then lastly, you need to make sure that you don't miss your prescribed time because we may not have another chance to get to the room over the summer to get you those instruments. So we'll survey everybody. When we find out what is needed, we'll set that all up and we'll make a pickup date for all of you. Just make sure that you fill out that form no later than June 18th. Super quick. It shouldn't take very long. And the sooner you get it done, the easier it is for all of us. We'll be emailing you after the fact. Moving on, summer rehearsal schedule. So in the month of June, there are rehearsals for color guard and percussion, as well as the month of July, and then band camp starts in August. Participation in all of these are all mandatory. So let's move on and see the specifics of all this. Summer color guard dates. June 20th, 22nd, 27th, and 26th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. This is going to be happening at Millikan High School. If you're in the color guard, you most likely already know about all of this. It's been communicated by our coaches and our caption head, Lindsay Michaels. The information with this is communicated through Remind. So these are rehearsal dates for our color guard team. Oops, I went a little too far. Percussion dates. Again, a lot of this should have already been sent out if you were at the earlier percussion dates about a month ago. But percussion rehearsal dates, June 20th, 22nd, 27th, 29th, July 25th, and July 27th. These are going to be happening from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Millikan High School. Your contacts are Andrew McAfee and Alan Makashima through our Slack channel. Those are our head percussion coaches. There may be more dates added in June. That's to be seen once everybody's availability is known better through to the end of June. Again, for both groups, this is required. It is necessary. It is mandatory. This was also how the percussion auditions for who's going to be in what part of the percussion ensemble is set, is through these summer rehearsals. So don't miss them. Otherwise, you may not be able to be part of the group this year. Band camp. All right, so band camp is starting the second week of August and has for a very long time here and runs for 3 weeks. So August 8th through the 12th, 9 to 4 p.m., August 15th through the 19th, 9 to 4 p.m., and August 22nd through the 25th, which is a Thursday, 9 to 4 p.m. All weeks are required for all members. I've had this question in the past. It's not a pick and choose week. It's all of the weeks combined. Times will be adjusted for orientations. I know that's a question that gets asked very quickly. There is freshman orientation time frame during that. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the very beginning of the camp. But we'll adjust times to allow students to go pick up books and that sort of things. And we usually give them passes to be able to get through faster. If you're not at band camp, you will not be able to be part of the marching band show. This is a lot of time, but it's all the time where we learn the required fundamentals, the required basics, and we start learning the show. And usually by the end of band camp, the goal is to have the first about quarter of the show to be learned. And if you miss it, there is zero way to make that up. There's zero chance that anyone can make it up. I've had people try, never have they been successful. So if you're not at band camp, there's not much of a chance that you can be part of the program. So make sure that you are there and you set that up. And our first performances happen during band camp. First up is the Marching Band and Color Guard preview show. We do this on August 25th, that last day that you saw as a regular part of band camp, 6 p.m. in the stadium that's to the right of me, or sorry, to the left of me right now, DeHaven Stadium. Our first performance. We traditionally call this the parent preview in the past, but it's our preview show. You'll get to see a snippet of what we've been working on over the last 3 weeks there. We were not able to have it last year because of scheduling conflicts, but it's back for next year. Mark your calendars. There it is, August 25th at 6 p.m. Then the next day, which you notice we did not have practice, but we do have our first football game. So this is usually a pretty low-key football game. It's before school starts, usually a low crowd, but it is the one where we kind of start getting our feet going with how these football games function. So the call time for that is 5:30 p.m. I imagine this game will probably end somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m. Though I will say games more into the fall can end as late as 10 to 10:30 if it's a really big game, say if we're playing Poly here at home. So the end times for football games can be a little bit up in the air, but the start time is always strong. We will start this one at 5:30 p.m. We most likely will not have uniforms, but we'll be in our rally gear for this first one, which again, you'll find out about at the beginning of camp. But these are our first couple performances right around the corner already. So what generally to expect when the fall rolls around? Well, here's a basic breakdown of what the time commitment is. We have after-school sectionals on Mondays that range in time frame, and depending on which section you're part of. That's what a sectional is. It's where the wind section has things they work on, the percussion section has things they work on, color guard has things that they work on. And they run anywhere from right at the end of school, which next year is going to be somewhere around a 4 o'clock start for our sectionals, and can go all the way to 9 p.m. based on who that is. You're not all going to be there until 9 p.m. It's just the breakdown. Different groups start at different times and end at different times. That'll be explained a little bit more closely at the beginning of the fall, beginning of band camp. We have night practice on Wednesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. every Wednesday. Saturday practices through the month of September, same time frame as band camp, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have shows on Saturdays during most of October and November. Those shows are already available on the calendar. We have 2 shows in October, 2 shows plus a third show if we make it to finals in November. That'll lead us all the way to the weekend before Thanksgiving. We have at least 5 home football games, no away games. I say at least 5 because if the team makes it to CIF, then it's a flip of a coin to see whether or not we get additional games here. In my time here at Millikan, we've had as many as we've had times when we didn't make it to CIF. We've had times where we made it to CIF and we never had a home game. And we had times when we ended up doing 7 to 8 home games in that season because we had all these additional CIF games to play afterwards. Those ones we won't know about until we get past our first 5 football games. And those again are already on the calendar, and the breakdown, you can see where they all are. We have the Long Beach Unified Band Spectacular in November, which I hope some of you have seen in the past. We have the Belmont Shore Parade at the beginning of December, which should be coming back this year as far as we know. We have rallies and recruiting events that we do here. Rallies are 99% of the time during the school day. Recruiting events, there's a few that we do after school, really just 1 or 2. Those will be kind of, some of you may have remember that the site night that we have here, the marching band tends to play. And then after winter break, after Thanksgiving break, we have auditions for our winter marching ensembles, which you'll find out again later on during this. So a very busy schedule through the fall. The students are here a whole lot. All right, what to prepare for? High schoolers. This one's funny to me, but I've taught at students as young as 3rd grade. I've taught middle school, I've taught high school, and every year everybody's the group of kids are a little bit different. Your student's about to become a high schooler, and high school comes with high school problems, so be prepared. You're going to be hearing a little bit about some of that coming back. That's generally one of the first things I want to preface with parents coming in. Things are going to change a little bit coming into high school. Next up, tired students. Your kids are going to be real tired. In fact, band camp, they're probably going to be more tired than you've ever seen them before. Don't worry, they're not sick, they're not hurt, they're just mentally and physically exhausted. That's how this all goes. It's good, it's fine. They just need to make sure they take a break and they relax at the end of the day so they're ready to go into the next day. Again, they're not hurt, not depressed usually. They're just really, really tired because we work really, really hard here. Sunburns, it can get hot. There's not a ton of cloud coverage in August. Be prepared, have lots of sunscreen. I always want to preface that at the very beginning. Have lots of sunscreen, wear a hat, have sunglasses. Those are super required for band camp to be successful. Do not forget to have those things on your person. There's going to be lots of volunteer needs. So if you're the type that wants to help volunteer, we got lots of places for you to help out. You're going to get lots of emails and remind texts. And they're all going to be important. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Lots of fundraising, running a program, especially a program like this, costs a lot of money. And public school, we don't get a lot of money thrown at us to do these things. So we have to fundraise 90% of our way through all this. Lots of time away from the kids. You'll get a break from them because they're going to be over here a lot of the week. And then you're going to find yourself having a strange addiction to this competition life. I'll let you discover that bit as you come through, but it's really, really interesting to see how involved and how into it some people get into the competition aspect of this. And it's a lot of fun too. All right, some logistics. Forms. Forms are required for participation in our ensemble and largely contain forms that help us keep students safe and healthy, as well as set up communication streams and equipment orders. Nothing exciting about the forms. They're just required things that we have here. They are logistics. You'll find them below. They need to be all filled out and turned into me at the very beginning of band camp. They are largely insurance and medical related, so that we know that if something does happen, we know how to help and treat your student. Things that you should have coming into band camp and used for the season. Number one, athletic shoes with a comfortable sole, not flats, not dress shoes, not heels, not flip-flops, not Vans, not Converse, athletic type shoes. The best examples I can give are running shoes, cross trainers, or in some cases, lightweight basketball shoes. And I use that very sparingly because basketball shoes tend to been getting kind of heavy and kind of bulky, and that's not what you want. But if you can find light ones, that might be okay. The student's gonna be basically an athlete running around a lot. The show involves a lot of movement, and having proper arch support is going to keep students from getting injured. Make sure that they have a good set of either running shoes or cross trainers coming in. It doesn't need to be anything super expensive, though I will give my caveat that in a lot of cases, when it comes to athletic equipment, you do get what you pay for. So I would recommend getting a decent pair of running or cross trainers for this program. Don't get anything that costs several hundreds of dollars. We don't need anything that an Olympian would use, but something that's going to last and is going to be comfortable and not going to hurt. Next is athletic, breathable clothing. Shorts are a must during band camp, and jeans are a no. Jeans are restrictive, they're hot, and they're not going to go well during band camp, and you're going to likely be doing movements that put your jeans at risk of getting ripped. That's just how this goes. Again, athletic activity, so lightweight, breathable clothing. Shirts that reflect the sun rather than trap the heat are also a good go-to when you're in this activity. Be careful with things that don't have sleeves, because you want to make sure that you don't burn. Things that are long sleeve, make sure that they're light. Again, I always like to gear people towards what you see endurance athletes, runners, those types wearing. Those are usually the most appropriate, most comfortable, and best things to use in an activity like this. A hat is really important to, one, keep your head cool, but mostly to keep the sun out of your eyes, because you are needing to look at a certain direction to see your instructors. Sunglasses, the same reason. Lots of sunscreen and deodorant. It can get smelly at the end of the day. It's a very hot and sweaty out there. You're going to need to have deodorant, and you might have to reapply throughout the course of the day. And the stick is always better than the spray. Don't use cologne or perfume just to mask things. Especially don't use that stuff in our room. It's really not okay, and not cordial to the people around you to be spraying things indoors. So the stick is the best way to go. All right, this is always a big question from parents. Grading and assignments. Assignments are going to be happening on a regular basis this year. During band camp, they will be inputted on Google Classroom, but for the fall, they're going to migrate towards Canvas. The grading assignments are examples of things below, but are not limited to those. We're going to have playing tests, marching tests, performances, preparation to class itself, and attendance and timeliness. All of that is equated into the grading scheme. At the beginning of band camp, we'll give you the percentage breakdown of how that all affects bit by bit. But I can tell you right now that attendance at performances are the biggest factor. And then the most frequent are going to be the marching tests, playing tests, and the attendance at all of our events. All right, donations, the next biggest question. Donations make this program go round. This is the type of program that is very, very expensive. I'm not going to get too in the depth with the breakdown of the donation costs right now, because there's still some things that need to be calculated based on what costumes are going to be for certain sections of the group and those sort of things. We'll find that out a little bit towards the mid of the summer, but we'll know by the beginning of band camp. But in general, donations are going to cost about $600 for the season. We're going to be asking for these in 2 lumps that will cover all operational costs and gears for the students to keep. They're also going to go to 2 different places. One is going to go towards our boosters, because those are the equipments that they order. These are the things the students keep, like their rally shirts, their shoes, their socks, and Under Armour that they wear underneath the uniforms. And then the other ones that are the operationals go towards our school account. Again, we're going to dive in real deep with that in August when we get there for band camp, and show you exactly what that is and give you the time frame for it. But that's what we ask. And again, that's what the last bullet point says. Now in this next little bit here, I'm going to move my head over a little bit so you can see a little clearer. This is a bit of a breakdown of why things cost the way they do. These are the sort of things that are covered by these donations: the cost of uniforms and costumes, our extensive coaching staff, the design of the music, which again is custom for us, drill design, which is the shapes that we make on the field, which is also custom for us, registering for shows, insurance to be at these shows and to transporting students, transportation of all of our equipment, props, emergency repairs, the list goes on and on. It's very few people really realize how expensive it can be to run a program like this program, or any real successful marching program, but it does come up a lot. Here's a bit of an estimate that I can give to show you where this all kind of comes down to. The coaching fees and design fees can cost, in the neighborhood of anywhere between $25,000 and $35,000 in the end. Show equipment and props can cost up to $10,000. It really depends on how extensive they get. And then general expenses can get up to 15 as well. So estimated costs for running a season is, in the 60,000 or more. I can name lots of programs that I know that can go well above 6 figures and multiples of 6 figures. We try to run things as bare bones as we can. So when I know that the number of 600 can be a bit of a punch in the face right at first, but it really is running on bare minimum to make the things happen that we need to have happen. And of course, we fully understand the rising costs of the cost of living and the cost of inflation and the burden that places on families. But please understand that also puts the same burden on this program, and we need to compensate for that. And this is also why we run really major fundraisers in this program. So this gives you sort of an idea of that. We'll talk a little bit about one major fundraiser a little bit later that we have coming up at the beginning of band camp. Now, the Orca Band Boosters Program. This is our wonderful group of parents that help run things behind us. They, I can't say enough about all the fantastic things that they do, and they're really a program that everybody who is a family member of our students should be a part of. So on our website, you'll find a page for our booster program. If you want to be a part of the booster program and start helping out already, there's a link there to get to them. They really make a lot of things happen behind the scenes with fundraising and just making sure that our program has the support it needs when we go to shows. We need quite a bit of it there. So please consider, be a part of the booster program. They're a great group of people, and they tend to be a great group of friends as well. So. All right, a few of the frequently asked questions that I have in these meetings. I want to just shoot out some quick answers to these ones and just make sure we're all on the same page about this. If there's still a few that you have questions about, you can shoot me an email a little bit afterwards and we can cover those. But starting off with number 1, are all rehearsals mandatory? Yes, they are. If you miss rehearsal, you run the risk of missing new information. And when you miss new information, you are not able to perform. We have a standing rule that if you miss the rehearsal before the performance, you do not perform. It is dangerous for the people to be performing around what we call holes in the show. Students will get comfortable with someone not being there, and then all of a sudden they get inserted and someone can get hit because they don't know what's going on. Furthermore, if students are not there often enough at rehearsals, they just have to get pulled out of sections. They can't cut it. Basically, think of any sport when benching players because the players can't keep up. That's what missing rehearsal will do to a student. So yes, all rehearsals are mandatory for good reason. Are all weeks of band camp mandatory? Yes, for those same reasons. And of course, we talked about that earlier as well. Are all events and performances mandatory? Yes, everything that's on the calendar is something that's mandatory. Every now and then we get asked to do something relatively last minute, and most times I turn away anything that's given to me last minute, but sometimes There's a few events that they only ask for a few, and I put that up for students to volunteer for. Volunteer events are not mandatory events, but it's going to be very clear as to whether or not the event is one of our actual performances or mandated events or a volunteer event. Any volunteer events that we have are not listed on the calendar, so they're none to look at right now and use as an example, but they sometimes appear as the year goes on. Now, number 4, what if we can't afford the donations? Well, that's a one-on-one conversation that we can have, and we're going to work things out with you. The donation is not not the pay-to-play sort of thing. We cannot require people to pay to be part of programs here in public schools, but we do need ways for the funding to come in to support everything that we do for these students. So if you have trouble with something, you can communicate with us directly, and we'll set up a plan with you. What if we cannot afford the needed gear? The same thing applies. Communicate with myself, communicate with our booster program. And in some cases, things like the marching shoes, we have an allotment here that sometimes can be given out as loaners for the season. They're not ones that the students get to keep, but ones that can get loaned out to be used for performances. How do we get to shows? Well, we have a big convoy that gets out to shows for most of them. Every now and then we might have a show that's carpool to save money from the school, but we are hopefully going to be busing to every single one of our shows from here on. We take about 3 buses to get to a show. We also have a convoy of 3 to 4 trailers and parents are coming behind us with all of our stuff that we travel with. Most of our shows are relatively quick in our area or in the Orange County area. I think the furthest show we have coming up this year is in San Clemente. So everything's relatively close by. But yeah, we travel in this big convoy to the show and from the show. What if we have an event conflict? Sometimes these are ones we can work out. In the end, the show has to happen. The student has to be at the show. The conflicts, we can try and work those out. But if you're starting to see a possible conflict now, it is many months ahead of time. Make sure that you look at the calendar and you rectify the conflict, because when we have students missing at the show, it negatively affects every single student because it will negatively affect our number and how we will perform. It can also open up situations for dangerous moments in the show. If the student expects something to happen and it doesn't happen because there's another student there, we run the risk of something catastrophic happening. So right now, make sure to look over your calendar events and make sure there aren't any conflicts. And if something is coming up, we can communicate and we can see about what we can do to make things work. How can you help at shows and events? Talk to the boosters, they'll set you up. There's lots of things to volunteer for. We always have an army of parents to help us have smooth days at shows. Again, helping at shows and events, join the boosters. Can I pick my student up early? Not usually. Not unless there's something really necessary for that time, an emergency or something that couldn't be moved and something that's been communicated to us well ahead of time. But on the daily basis, no, pick up early cannot happen. Important things happen all the way up to our very last minute. When should you get your student to our rehearsals? 10 to 15 minutes early is safe. I hate to quote the movie Drumline from way back when. I was a high school student when that movie came out, and it's not the greatest representation of what we do here, but there's a great quote saying that if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. So plan to be there early so that you can get things set up, because our start time is the time that we start actual rehearsal. It's not our start time to walk through the door. So be there early so we can start on time. When can I expect my student to be able to go home? Your student is free to go home as soon as rehearsal is done and they've taken care of everything that they need to take care of. Rehearsals will end at a hard time. So if our rehearsal ends at 4, it will end at 4. And at that point, all that your student has to take care of is putting their instrument away, putting their equipment away, and making sure they don't leave a mess. And they are free to head out. In most cases, the students that can move quickly with that stuff and don't wait around very long can get out in 5 to 15 minutes. Sometimes we'll admit there's students that lay around for a little while longer and take a little bit extra time and just hang out, and we're pushing them out 30 minutes later. I want to get out of there as soon as possible after rehearsal, just as much as any parent picking up their student. So as long as they take care of what they need to do, They're free to go as soon as the rehearsal is done. When should you show up to pick up your student from events? From events, be there on time to pick them up. There'll be remind messages that get sent out during the course of the day that'll give you kind of an up-to-date time to time of when we'll be either arriving after a show or when a football game is ending. So you'll have a very clear time sent to you through the remind messages to pick up the students. When it comes to picking up the student, please do not wait an exorbitant amount of time to pick them up. I know that there are things that we have to load up at the end of a day, but I've had students in the past waiting in the parking lot an extra hour after we've been done. And at that point, it's up to campus security to be watching the student. So make sure that you're communicating with your student and get there on time based on the times that are sent out throughout the course of the day to pick them up. Again, you'll be given remind messages throughout the course of that day. Our show is free. No, they are not. Band Spectacular, I believe, has a little bit of a cost to it. Football games all have a cost to them, and all of our shows in our competitive circuit run anywhere between $10 to $20 depending on the show and where the venue is. So there is a fee for coming into shows. As for how you can buy the tickets for those shows, it's kind of a case-by-case basis. Some of those allow purchase ahead of time. Some of them are purchased at the door. They'll all have information closer to the date for that. When it comes to our competitive shows, we usually have information about a week and a half to 2 weeks before the show to know what our performance times and the cost of the shows are going to be. So keep an eye out around that time if there's a show that you want to see. What happens if you miss a show? Aside from the negative air that it airs on the actual performance itself, it does lower your grade. That's it is about a 10% part of your grade each performance, and at that point, the student has to do a makeup assignment to make up that part of their grade. So again, a performance here is 10% of your grade. If a performance is missed, there's a makeup assignment that has to be done, and it is quite a sizable makeup assignment. That is simpler to just be part of the show rather than have to do the makeup assignment. So that's something to keep an eye about. What are the winter ensembles? So there is a whole spring winter season aspect of this marching program after the marching band season ends in November. Currently set up as the Winter Percussion Ensemble and the Winter Color Guard Ensemble. They are the same situation where it's a marching ensemble that competes in a circuit gearing towards a championship season. But it happens indoors in basketball gyms, and it only involves these said groups. For the color guard, it's the color guard members. For the percussion, it's the percussion members. There's auditions for that after the marching band season is done. We have had students who are in other sections join those ensembles and compete in that throughout the course of the winter. And those will conclude in April and be our winter ensemble competitive season. We had a really great, successful season this past year. Both groups made it into finals for the first time and set Millikan records for how well they performed. So if that's something to think that's on your mind, that is something to kind of think about going into the later half of the year. There's still opportunity to do this pretty much year-round these days. And then lastly, how does PE credit work? So we already talked about how the summer school class no longer offers PE credit. So PE credit happens in the fall only for our marching programs. So everybody who's signed up for marching band PE or color guard, drill team, tall flags, PE credit in the fall will receive a semester of PE credit. In Long Beach Unified, you have to have 4 consecutive semesters of PE before you can pass out of PE. That means in the spring semester, if the student has not completed the second semester of PE, they will have to take PE in the spring. That is mostly freshmen and sophomores. Now we're working on a plan with some of our counselors and PE teachers to be able to double book our students so that a student can be registered in PE, doing their PE stuff in the spring, and if they're part of one of our winter marching ensembles, they can do that as well. That is something that we will not have clarity on until around November, but it is something to be aware of, that there is going to be some form of schedule change around the start of the second semester to make sure that students that have not met their PE requirements meet their PE requirements. So keep an eye out for that as that kind of comes across at that point of the year. So that wraps it up. That's everything that we have for this meeting right now. Hope that answered most of your questions and set you off on a good pace to go into the summer. First off, I want to make sure you all have a fantastic summer. We've all earned a little bit of a break before we get things rolling again whenever our rehearsals start up for your different parts of the ensemble, or in August for the whole ensemble. If you have any questions, shoot myself or Miss Lou an email and we'll get back to you as soon as you can. Have a fantastic summer until I see you in person. And make sure you take a break before band camp comes around, because when August 8th shows up, we're going to really hit the ground running. Thank you, everybody. Have a great break.